All right, another quick update. Today it is April 28th, almost May 2026. I just want to celebrate the 5% mark of this 100 essays, 100 conversations goal that I set myself for the channel. So we just reached 5%. I'm super excited about that. I love celebrating small victories. Thank you so much for those of you who have been just like following and engaging and sharing your thoughts and reflections, supporting, commenting, reaching out. Reminder to you that there's a direct messaging function in Substack, so you can always reach me directly for anything pertaining to the channel. I'm not going to share these updates every month, but it just feels like there's been a lot brewing and another one needed to come out for this cycle. I think any creative pursuit, first and foremost, reveals the creator to themselves as reflected back to them in their creation. I think at a psychological level, there's really an unconscious desire to know ourselves more deeply, and externalizing, creating something, whether it's making a loaf of bread or creating a painting or a song, is one of the best ways for us to see our internal experience made manifest for us, which brings us to understand ourselves more deeply. It's been so fascinating for myself to watch how the cultivation and engagement with this channel has been revealing me to myself, sometimes in a kind of confronting way. First and foremost, this channel has really invigorated my creative engine and has really helped me think through like, what do I really want to say? How do I want to say it? And where do I want to say it? If I'm going to, be presumptuous enough to capture someone's attention for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 50 minutes, what am I actually going to do with that attention? The thing that I've realized is that the internet is just like this insane psychedelic marketplace where you can find pretty much anything, right? From the most profane to the most inspiring and sublime that humans have to offer. And so as a creator, I find myself in this position where I have to position myself in the marketplace, right? Like, why am I bringing your attention to my wares? And every other day, basically, I think about just quitting it because the internet, in so many different ways, feels very beautiful and in so many different ways feels so toxic to our well being, to our attention span, to our sense of actual connection as we begin to conflate parasocial relationships with actual relationships in our lives. And I used to think that this feeling of wanting to just quit it all was just because I was addicted. Part of me recognized that, and I felt like I needed to get out of this cycle of engaging with content and consuming and producing. But I've actually started to realize something. There's a part of me very deep down that is beholding and watching the internet as it deteriorates, as it degenerates into essentially a hodgepodge of AI slop. Which, if you don't know the term, refers to just this massive proliferation of low quality, mass produced, high engagement content that's created by AI. And if you haven't noticed, on a platform like Substack, but everywhere, a lot of the content is starting to seem eerily similar. It's just these sort of watered down platitudes, this kind of condescending cheerfulness, and a certain way of structuring words or ideas that if you're an AI user, you begin to intuitively recognize as familiar, even if you can't quite put your finger on it. And so I've started to realize that there's actually a part of me that, in an act of rebellion against an internet that is essentially dying in its human appeal, right? It's just becoming this sort of bot infested, AI enhanced thing that's kind of toxic to all of us. And incidentally, mirrors the way in which the world is also deteriorating in various different ways. And I've realized that there's this impulse in me to withdraw, right? To remove myself from the system. But what that does is it just leaves that system more infested by less humanity. And the more that each of us withdraws, the more this internet, this digital environment that our children are going to be raised with becomes this cesspool of hollow stimulation, meaninglessness, and echo chambers. And so this part of me that I'm kind of sitting with and recognizing slowly is a part that feels that it's precisely because the internet is deteriorating. It's precisely because the world is deteriorating that it becomes now more than ever important to really engage in the ecosystem and stay connected with what makes us human. So I just want to make a pledge to you right now that there will never be any AI slop here, not in the form of videos, not in the form of writing, even if that means that I'm releasing an essay a month instead of an essay a day, which is ultimately what this AI enhanced creative environment allows us to do, right? Just ramp up productivity. If you go back to Art and Authenticity, the second essay I made, I think, where I run into someone in the world telling me that they made 280 songs in a month. And I go, okay, so what's the quality of those songs? What is it actually eliciting in us? What does it actually mean then? Nothing. So even if the output decreases, and a lot of what this channel is, and I want it to be, is an expression of a larger message that I'm wanting to convey, which is that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to decrease our output, and that the value of something is not predicated on the quantity of it. It's predicated on the meaning of it. It's predicated on the depth of it. So there will never be any AI slop here in any form because what AI can do is harvest and synthesize information. But I don't think that that's why we gravitate to art. We gravitate to art because of the personality of the person who made it. We gravitate towards the imperfection, the struggle, the energetics of it, the feelings it invokes in us. How can something that doesn't feel evoke feelings? It's just not possible. And so, if nothing else, I want this channel to be along with other people who are still actually doing the work, and I see them and read their stuff and watch their stuff every day on Substack, is create a small oasis, a small pocket of humanity where you can arrive from this internet environment, take off your shoes, breathe a little bit, and reconnect with a reminder that there is still real human, authentic connection happening on the internet, even if the vast majority of it is essentially porn and games that are the neurological equivalent of a personalized super casino and hypersensationalized news cycles created for the sole purpose of grabbing and keeping your attention. We're still here, the real humans, for now. Now, the channel itself is going to continue to be eclectic. You've seen it slowly growing. Those of you who are following along, it's taking slightly different iterations from week to week, month to month. And partly that's a reflection truly of my neurotype. My attention tends to go everywhere. I'm interested in many different things. I can go down many different rabbit holes. I really have a hard time just sticking to one medium of expression or one medium of experience. My body, my mind crave variety in a way that I think is meaningful. It's not just sort of something's wrong with my brain. It's one of the things that makes my particular brain beautiful. And if you resonate with that, it's one of the things that makes your particular brain beautiful. And this eclecticism in the cultivation of the channel is really an intentional also rebellion against an attitude of monism or monoculture, which I'll be talking a lot about on this channel, which is essentially the view that says that there needs to be one way to be. There needs to be one religion, there needs to be one country, there needs to be one social system, there needs to be one economic system, there needs to be one language. Whatever it is, monism has infected our culture in a way that I think is extremely detrimental to, as I've said before, one of the things that makes us most beautiful and resilient, which is our diversity, our plurality, our multiplicity. And so I just need and want this channel to be a reflection of that. In the words of the great Whitman Rinpoche, do I contradict myself? Very well. Then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Now, all of that being said, there's a central inquiry that I've been wrestling with as I engage with the digital environment and try to balance it with engaging with my real environment. You've heard part of that inquiry, right? Do I really need to be another person on the internet grabbing your attention? Do any of us really need to still be engaging with this when the oceans are dying and we should actually stop everything we're doing and go start to clean them? But on the other hand, the internet is a vehicle that allows us to spread information, really important information, faster than ever before, right? I mean, it used to take years or months or the information never got around, where now important information can literally spread across the globe in a matter of hours. It's really, truly astounding. And so it's not possible, in my opinion, to just put the internet into the category of just something toxic that's not benefiting anyone. I think it's actually, if anything, imperfect and mostly just a reflection of us, right? Reminder that the internet is a neutral tool, just like a hammer, and I can use a hammer to hit someone on the head or build a house with, and that the internet isn't necessarily as problematic as what it reflects about what's problematic about its users, you and me. But I've been thinking a lot about just how we consume information and how we engage with information, which nowadays has heavily moved into audio and video format, right? Which on the one hand, I think is not terrible. I think it's a good thing. It makes a lot of human knowledge more accessible than ever before, especially if we have a hard time focusing in order to read, or if we're feeling really overstimulated or overworked in our lives and we don't have time to stop and slow down and, give an hour of undistracted attention to reading a book or an article or a newspaper. On the other hand, there's a real danger that in engaging with this video content, and I recognize the irony of what's happening right now, and of engaging with infinite vertical scrolling content, that by the process of engaging with it, we're really shortening our attention spans over and over and over and over again. We're numbing our capacity to feel. We are disrupting our memories. And when the picture of a pug with a birthday hat on them elicits the same amount of time and energy and emotional reaction as a child rendered homeless and orphaned in Gaza, something has gone wrong with how our brain is indexing information. And I think that's a real danger. Personally, I've been reading a lot more lately. And I find that a good passage or something that I read really makes an imprint on me in a way that's different than video and audio content. The feeling it generates, the thinking it generates. Not that video content doesn't do that, but if everything is in video format, then everything becomes information to consume, which again is just reflective of our conditioned tendency to exist in a culture that is very much obsessed with consumption. And it doesn't give enough time and space to digest. I'm coming back over and over again to the importance in my own life and my own practice of slowing down, of being with what is. And reading helps us slow down. It helps us be with our internal experience as we're reading something, as we're engaging with something, which allows whatever's being engaged with to sink in my opinion, much more deeply and actually helps regulate the nervous system, down regulate the nervous system instead of up regulating the nervous system, agitating, stimulating. Now, personally, I've been a writer first and foremost, right? Like long before I made music, long before I made video content. And somehow along the journey, that got obscured. My attention span shortened. And recently, I've really been making a big effort to set aside whole chunks of time, like 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour, whenever I can to just like read and be with my breath and walk in nature and actually not be engaging with video content. So I just wanted to share about some of the ways in which you're going to see that reflected in the channel. And because my mind works in this like very eclectic way, as you're seeing, it becomes very important to have organizing conventions, naming conventions, numbering conventions. And so I'm just going to quickly break that down and share some of that with you today. The most steady feature of the offerings that I've been cultivating for me feels like it's the guest conversations. They're just some of the most stable value this channel has to offer, and one of the places where I find the least hesitation for me in terms of like, how do I really want to craft and deliver this? To me, people are endlessly fascinating. I love having conversations where we open each other's minds. The editing process is pretty straightforward, and I just love making new connections. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Now, the numbering convention for the videos is going to move from conversation 1, 2, 3 to C1, C2, C3. Easy enough. Music, easy. M1, M2, M3. And it's really not the primary offering. I just love playing with sound and meaning both by myself and with others. So it's bound to keep making its way into the channel. The doodles don't even need numbering. For me, that's just sort of the ashes left behind from creative burning. Those will pop up here and there, but they don't really need any kind of organizing convention. The place where you're going to start to see the biggest change, I think, is that I'm going to start to write a lot more. I'm going to shift the emphasis away from the video essays, which were a great experiment, and I'm going to continue to make some video content, but it's going to be mostly, I think, in reference to the written content. And the convention here is going to be writing 1, writing 2, writing 3, W1, W2, W3. And I want to do this for a few different reasons because I want the writing itself, I want what I'm communicating to be part of the slowing down process. I don't want to be another person just adding videos, adding things that are stimulating and we receive them and listen to them and they elicit something and then they're gone just like that. I want it to be something that we can come back to, something that's worth pausing and reflecting on, putting down and picking up, and you can reread a paragraph multiple times. It's just something that's different about that than like rewinding a video, pressing the back 15 or back 10 seconds button. And in this section of writing, I hope over time to consolidate a body of more cohesive thinking, original ideas, thoughts, views, perspectives pertaining to practice, culture, psychology, wellness, human relationship, creativity, all of the different places that my mind steeps itself in. They'll be slower to come out, more well thought out, and a little bit more polished and refined than the videos. And the video essays themselves, I think I'm just gonna kind of pare down and simplify a little bit. The editing will be more straightforward. I think I'll get rid of the intros and outros and just jump straight into the video content itself. And I think I'm gonna use them as a method of providing commentary or fleshing out the ideas of the writing materials that I offer. So essentially the writing will become more of the core body of work. And in the back of my mind, I have a couple of books probably brewing that in the next 10 years, if I can keep my attention, hopefully will come out. And the video essays will be references and commentary in a way of elaborating and deepening the ideas that I present in some of the writing. And whereas the writing will be W1, 2, 3, the videos will be V1, V2, V3. So you're just going to start to see that cropping up on the channel just to clear up any confusion. That's what that's about. And I know it's quirky, I know it's eccentric, but that's what I've wanted this channel to be the whole time. Just an authentic expression of who I am, how I think, even if it's a little confusing and off-putting. At first, I promise you there's an internal logic and coherence to it. Now, that being said, as I've said many times, this is a garden that continues to emerge as I cultivate and I prune and I see like, do I want this? Do I want that to be a part of the garden? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes I'll make a hard pivot, which is really hard for a creator who has started to build an identity in a certain section of the garden to say like, I just don't want to do that anymore, right? Because other people have expected that from me, but it's just a fiction. It's an illusion. It's not real. At any time in any of the gardens that you're cultivating, whether it's relationship or exercise or art, you can just always make the decision to stop something that you're not wanting to do anymore. And I've just been finding myself wanting to write and read more and spend less time with the video essays. So what I'm talking about is a reflection of that. Now, because it's quirky and idiosyncratic, I'll try to keep you in the loop as we go, but if anything doesn't make sense to you, or if you have an idea for how to better organize it, please let me know, because otherwise it's just me in the echo chamber of my mind, which is just kind of dull and full of blind spots. So I need you, I welcome you and your ideas. on how to cultivate this garden so that it becomes a garden of practice and multiplicity that still maintains some sense of cohesiveness and really is easy to engage with. And the process is going to keep being really Darwinian. I'm going to keep what works and just drop what doesn't over time. And having faith in the Darwinian process, I anticipate that what's going to happen is that something very sturdy and solid solidifies over time, even if I don't really know what that is yet. I'm kind of feeling around and it's slowly starting to gain a sense of cohesiveness, and things will keep changing and updating over time. Now, here's the other thing about gardens, and this is going to be a big thing that I'm going to be talking about over and over again, is that gardens grow slowly if they're healthy and well balanced. I could quickly cultivate a field of corn and optimize return and make a bunch of money on it, but then I don't really get to enjoy anything in a field of corn, right? I don't want this to be that. I don't want this to be a field of corn that's optimized for rapid production. I actually want this to be a place where we can slow down and we can meander and say like, oh, like let me pick this video and watch it. Oh, let me like breeze through this essay and like actually enjoy the process of engaging with materials that over time hopefully can kind of sink in and permeate and bring novel insights and connections for us. So, really, a way that I think about this for myself is that I'm cultivating a little public digital garden for you that's free for you to wander in. It's a little curated piece of the internet with different features and sensory experiences. You'll stumble upon a song, you'll find a little doodle that all differ in their manifestation and appearance, but ultimately come back to the same thing, which is expressions of practice and my love and faith in practice and how it can bring us into connection more deeply with ourselves and with others. Some of you have really been starting to engage with your comments and your outreach. Some of you have shared what you want me to talk about, which I'll incorporate in the next couple of months. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I really love hearing from you genuinely. And my goal really is in the impersonal AI bot quagmire this internet is becoming to find and cultivate a small pocket of genuine human connection. Stay tuned. I am so excited for some of the essays that I'm working on. I got music that I'm working on. I got a bunch of guest conversations already made and a bunch of new guests coming in, folks that I know directly, but also starting to branch out, connecting with other folks on Substack, connecting with other professionals outside of my profession and practitioners outside of my lineage of practice, which is really exciting to me. And these video essays that are going to morph a little bit into more informal video reflections that point back to some of the other stuff that I'm cultivating. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber if you're engaging with the content and valuing it. I would use the money to increase the quality and quantity of real human output, not AI slop. Eventually try to get some of this stuff translated so it's not just Anglophones who are able to engage with it. And longer term, start to work with a team because I can't do it all and have it be done well. Much love to you all. Let's keep cultivating. Let's keep practicing. Peace.